We talked about it. When this new wall was picked, there were still some really big options.
Yeah.
Agni, Raijin, there were a lot of strong things. You even said, I think, if you're going to go new wall, maybe like a Zeus or something,
Yeah,
right?
like
there were a
something
lot of options.
mobile. There's just a lot of burst damage on that kind of character. Because Nuwa is not a bad goddess in terms of late game potential, but you have to get there.
Yeah.
And against an aggressive composition where Naja and Fenrir was already selected before seeing the Pele, you like, am I going to survive versus this as a new it's a little tricky.
Yeah, not a lot of options on the table there for the new WA, so hopefully they'll make some adjustments in terms of what they want to pick in the mid lane. As we are ready for these picks and bans, Rival will be in the first pick selection, and yet again, this Vamana is being banned away. We saw that in Game 1, they were worried about this Vamana pick, and here it is again. If you're in first pick, things are different. You can ban stuff you don't want to deal with, but second, you're kind of relegated to King Arthur and Freya.
I wish I had an answer for you, Finch, but I'm not on the Vamana hype train to really ban that out.
You weren't even a month ago when he was stomping over. You
still.
were like, I think he's beatable, yeah.
He's a guy that just already secures wins if the rest of your team is winning.
Right.
That's basically what he does. People try to play him out in the jungle, and he's still good in the jungle role, don't get me wrong. He's very easy to confirm the armored umbrella damage, but in a world where you're really relying on team fights and control, Vamana doesn't bring the control. He just brings the chase down potential.
That's right. So maybe not a plug and play for every single composition for Vamana, as Naja comes in for Rival, who I think is plug and play for just about every single composition.
Facts.
Your team is better with Naja on it, and I feel comfortable standing out here and saying that in front of everybody.
I mean,
he's good.
If you just hover over the ring bounce and you see like a paragraph and a half,
It's a lot on there.
and that's only one ability. That is only one ability. So that's how you know Naja's pretty good.
Yeah, you want that guy in your games. As Shibalanke and Achilles are going to be the first two picks for European powerhouses. We've talked already about how strong Darkest of Nights is. Achilles coming through for that execute. So this can be strong to try and confirm some kills, especially as this is kind of a squirrely team from Rival. Naja, Kronos, and Giannis are all very good at getting away. Maybe this execute can put a stop to it.
It definitely could be that way. So if I'm Rival, I'm kind of looking at maybe some potential healers to kind of prevent that, or maybe even a meditation on the relic selection. If it's going to be Naja solo again, maybe have Guan Yu support. Even Terra's available still to this day. Geb being locked in for European powerhouses. So if I'm European powerhouses, I'm banning away the Terra, and I'm maybe banning away the Guan Yu.
I think those would be some strong bans, but they are going to take away the Fenrir. To be fair, so far Rival has not really changed much up from last game, and the Fenrir was a part of it, so it makes sense to ban that. European powerhouses clearly didn't have an answer to it, so limit some of those options, as Rival are going right back to the mage ban. So I assume if they stay the same, it'll be Poseidon Soul, I believe is what it was.
Yeah, the water-fire combination
That's
that we were
right.
alluding to in the last game. But in reality, they're a cripple from Poseidon Whirlpool. If they wanted to go for something, can't be the Fenrir like it was in last game, considering that it's banned away by European powerhouses now. That could be an option. Like Susanoo is still available, so that you don't want to deal with a cripple there.
Another strong pick, as it is indeed the Soul. They kept these bans the same. And so far, Rival are saying, well, we're just going to do the same thing. Show us that you can beat it, or we'll just keep doing it. And I think that's the right strategy, right? Until they prove to you that it doesn't work, it works. And you just go ahead and go ahead and put it to the test. As Thor comes through, very interesting. We don't see a ton of Thor anymore.
Definitely not, and I like Thor personally because of how much setup he has. Between the ultimate, between also the tectonic rift. The question is what mage is going to follow suit with it. It doesn't really matter because Thor is just the enabler of all enabler junglers, as we're fighting fire with fire now. Global pressure versus global jungler.
A Mercury coming through. That ultimate sonic boom can hit you from just about anywhere, and the tier to follow up. So that feels very Predators to me, this tier pick. It's something he likes to play, and I imagine we'll be seeing Mercury in the jungle, so a slightly more traditional composition from Rival this time, but a scary one nonetheless.
Agni, all right.
Okay.
This is just old bread and butter composition.
Thor Agni, yeah.
I love it, honestly, because there's going to be a lot of setup. Thor can set up Agni. Agni can set up Thor. The hammer doing so much damage. I'm liking European powerhouses composition much more than Game 1.
Should be a little bit easier to execute, I would say, from this team too. So European powerhouses, if they have a chance to try and stick with Rival, who are up at the top, then it would be now, at least based on these drafts. Game number 2 between them just about to get underway. Who's going to be able to take it with their backs against the walls? Let's get it on over to Tom and Taka.
You know, something I heard John say on the desk, which I think was really, really accurate, was Naja just makes your team better. And I will forever and always be a Naja fan.
I feel like that's a really tough statement to disagree with. I mean, he's just got it all. The looks, the skins, the peel, the setup. He's just your every type of guy.
He's got the damage. He's got the stuns. He's got the way to get out of there with the escape and the heal. Recently, he did get a little bit of a nerf to his ability to play support, maybe at the level 1. Not the damage off the ring bounce, but the protection shred, which I think is the right thought process. But at the end of the day, just what Najah does is punishing. Visify coming around the back line and looking for the punish, and will get it. The old stripperoon. No speed buff for Rapio.
Visify giving Rapio a little bit of his own medicine, and I think that sometimes it's a good reminder to Rapio not to get a little bit lazy around those early speed buff pools, because with how prevalent it's been in the meta recently, it's for teams to look for that initial level 1 speed buff invade. You can never feel too safe, and you've always got to take that quick little peekaboo behind you to make sure you're not getting peekabooed.
Yeah, peekabooed?
Peekabooed.
Peekabooed. Well...
Depending on how many times you say it and like how fast you say it, it changes too.
Can you say peekaboo 3 times fast?
Peekaboo, peekaboo, peekaboo.
How about 6 times fast? I'll keep count. Go ahead.
Okay. Peekaboo, 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 peekaboo.
You got 5. You got 5.
I give it like 4.5 because I kind of lost it on like the middle part.
Hey, I was giving you the benefit of the doubt.
I appreciate that.
But only 5 peekaboos. We'll see if Team Rival can get more than that. There's a second for sure. This time 1 for 1. Visify not going to die here, but Dinosaur, why are you in the solo lane? Questions you've got to ask your support player. As Team Rival, you know, I kind of make jokes about it, but leaving Kronos with solo farm, that's a good idea.
And it's safe because Rival know that it's going to be Davey versus a Shubalanke Geb.
Yep.
If Davey dies in this lane, to put it into perspective for you guys, I would not be surprised if all of Rival just unanimously chose to start cyberbullying him as a result, because he should not be dying in this case situation unless European powerhouses are able to do something about it. And the something that I want to continue seeing is this rotation right here. Tiger and Saku, as well as the rest of European powerhouses, also sending their jungler over just in case Davey tries to contest here. He can get a little bamboozled by that additional Thor figure.
Yeah, that's the idea for me as well, is making sure that they're able to punish, perhaps not the lane, but elsewhere. It's a big map. There's plenty to find. Ring bounce won't find a target, that said. Now Tiger in some trouble as Davey on the left side trying to deal it out. European powerhouses successfully invade the enemy red buff, and Rival are unable to respond. Now, a large part of that has to do with Dinosaur's shift out of the lane, but he was there for that fight.
But Rapio is not here for the rest of his team. He's a jungler. He's got to get that speed buff instead. So where one-timer is reconfirmed, Rival end up losing another. European powerhouses, though, still reaping a little bit of the profits off of that purple buff invade. Mostly, I think, for getting that timer so they can look for an additional, or for a future red buff, purple buff push. But they've got to be careful, I think, because once everybody hits level 5 from Rival, I think it's going to be a lot more challenging for European powerhouses to successfully disengage because of this Giannis.
We also saw something very similar in game number 1 where Team Rival were, maybe that's the wrong way to start it, where European houses got off to a nice start. I don't want to say Rival were lagging behind. I think they were just kind of at their own pace intentionally. Left side Tiger could be a target, but will likely make it out of there. And then basically Team Rival, 10 minutes in, just took control of the game. And I think that's what we're going to see here as well, looking at characters like Rapio and Dinosaur. Level 1, sure, they could work, but really, you need an item or 2.
Plus, I don't think, while I still believe this is relatively low-pressure lane from European powerhouses, Tiger, though, got to be careful. Nice Geb Shield, going to cleanse the stun that would have taken place from Davey, but what I wanted to address was the fact that I don't really see Dinosaur as having a ton of kill potential in this dual lane either with the Nishala, just because of Tiger having the Geb Shield and the knockouts. A lot of interrupt, I think. Davey's damage output also not going to really be all there until he gets the boots and Bancrofts or something online.
Exactly.
He needs power
1 or
items.
2, yeah, for sure. Kronos a later game character, so the early game not going to go in his favor. There is kill potential when the Geb isn't home, but that's going to be so rare. Rapio versus the world here in his own red buff. European powerhouses have control of it. Made You Look will not be on the mark. That said, Dave Jr. gets hit by the ultimate out of the mid lane mage and the Sash. There's some more damage onto Dobson, and the shotgun will miss as well. Nice juke boots coming out from Dave Jr.
More importantly, EP, without that Giannis ultimate, they're now free to pressure, I think, even into the opposite side of the map. That solo lane, maybe take a little revisiting over there, because Predators this time around, I think he wanted the tier, because last game he got soloed by Visify on the more, I think, aggressive solo lane option with that RDO. So Predators now probably hoping they can go a little bit more toe-to-toe with this tier.
And he just might be able to. Predators has always liked the tier. He's always enjoyed it. Visify on the Achilles, though. Last time around wasn't so poor. Liked Visify as game number 1. Just barely not enough to bring home the win, unfortunately for him and his fans. Have to head back to the grindstone.
I am glad to see this shift though for EP, where throw Genesis onto the Assassin and give Visify the Achilles instead.
Yeah.
While I don't think that Genesis necessarily played the Achilles poorly, I don't think it was a standout performance either, or that early aggressive force that you're looking for when you go for an Achilles jungle in the first place.
I agree. I think the Thor is a nice look, specifically against the players that he's up against. I think Thor does very well against Naja and Mercury specifically. If you're able to thread the needle between your opponent and your teammate, you could really stop what a Mercury is trying to do. Naja to a lesser extent, but still absolutely get stopped by that wall. And then if you're really rooting for the highlight plays, you could wall off Mercury ult, the Naja ult. You ever see that one happen? Well, right now, Naja going to use it in the sky, and then as soon as he lands, expect a Thor on the back line, and Dobson with the first kill. Goes down the hand of the Thor, and there's answered back by European powerhouses. Dobson will be the first death of this game. First blood to European power.
Had me going a little dizzy there, trying to keep track of everything, but first thing I want to point out, the combo there from Rival. Talk about a wombo combo. Predators with the Fearless straight into the Windfire wheels out of Dinosaur. Basically 0 response time given for Dave Jr. there. And as for his chances of survival, almost made it out of there alive. He had the 10%, but that ring bounce from Dinosaur ended up cleaning things up. Unfortunately for Predators as well, because he expended the Justice, and it just came up for nothing. When you use your Lawbreaker, I think, for the last hit instead of for, I think, maybe causing more separation from the initial collapse back onto Dobson, I think, you know, Predators might regret it a little bit, but at the same time, how much of an impact would it have really made to Lawbreaker right into the center of everybody instead?
Interesting point where it started off. Hitting a Naja ult into a Fearless, that's not exactly your easiest. You know, people always look at Hun Bats as a setup character, but that's a moving target, just like Fearless. That's a moving target. That's tough.
I think he'd be more scared of going under as opposed to anything else, but I'm not sure if it's possible if the tier's on your team to go under that. I think Najal will almost always grab them.
Word, because you can go under. I have gone under like Sylvanas ult and stuff. I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen. Or in my own games with the pro games, but I guess that's why I'm in my own.
Not
games
a fun time
though
when it happens. Yeah, we don't worry about the pros. They'll be they kind of do their own thing.
I always feel like a bullfighter, you know, just like Dono. Davey gonna do just that and juke away the Shibalanke. Nice ultimate for the Kronos player there. Has the booties online.
This is what Sakuya has to do though. He doesn't really have much of an option because while Shibalanke does have some late game hyper carry potential, he doesn't get a second life. Even with Aussie, I still think that Sakuya has to be careful here, just like Dinosaur right now in the mid lane under heavy pressure, gonna take Tiger up into the air.
And there's gonna be the Thor landing back on down to answer back. Expect that virtually every time. Big ult coming out from Rabio as he hits from the left and the right side is gonna be taken care of as well. No kills though. Here comes Predator. Looking for it. Blink. Fearless is good enough to take down Tiger. The other Fearless shows up, and there's a swag flip over the top. Slow is good. The cooldown on the Sand Twitch, not good enough. So we won't see the follow-up from Predators. Rapio, surprise, surprise. That's a dead Shibalanke. Shibalanke. Ah!
Close one.
Rapio almost dropped it, made me a liar. Not this time, as Finch would say, I ain't never lied.
Cutting it a lot closer than what he probably wanted to, though, for sure. But I think that's just a kill. He's got to be careful. I understand wanting to aggress early on into the Chronos because even if you're able to force the rewind, it's still a huge benefit for Genesis.
That's what you're trained to do as a hunter.
But you also have to factor in that if you start boxing them and you're using the choke points from Team Rival's jungle entryways, you have to expect that Mercury is going to say what's up eventually, and that's exactly the case that took place just then with Rapio. Pretty easy cut down from the mid lane over to the duo, and I think that if the Xbalanque wants to play that aggressively still, they're going to need some deeper wards into Rival's jungle.
Well, 10.5 in, Team Rival inching forward in a very similar situation in game number 1. European powerhouses had a decent lead, and then your Team Rival slowly but surely, not even wrestled it away, just kind of asked for it, received it, and that's what we're seeing here as well.
It's more efficient farming, and also I think that EP tend to split buffs 3 to 4 man ways a lot more often than Rival. Even those early red buff invades that were successful for European powerhouses, they're being 4-man split, 3-man split, so you're not profiting off that nearly as hard as you could.
Here's the ultimate from Team Rival, bringing the whole team here. Dobson gonna grab Tiger, the swag flip over the top finds nobody, and Predator's in a little bit of trouble there. Thor's up, looking for something, but Dave takes care of Predators early. Thor comes right down, and Donshaw's going to answer back, being aggressive himself.
But with 54 being the ticks, I think it's only a matter of time, and it is. Dinosaur's final hour here as European powerhouses effectively punish Team Rival for poking their noses in a little bit too soon.
Yeah, just a little bit preemptive there. I'm with you. I'm with you.
I think Predators just got too excited off of the Geb kill and thought that they could pressure for more, but since there was a 4-man grouping from EP, just wasn't feasible. Rapio now hoping for the Gold Fury steal.
Looking for it, gonna drive down, but it's EP that gets the objective. Now European Powerhouse is looking for the punish, and no such thing. Team Rival just walk away. And European Powerhouses get that one. 12 minutes in, EP up about 500.
I'm a little surprised that Rapio didn't keep trying to aggress onto either Xbalanque or the Thor. Genesis' hammer was down. He hammered over that wall, and the Geb shield had already been expended as well. A lot of cooldowns from European powerhouses being used in one swing to help confirm that Gold Fury. Definitely think that Rival could have maybe punished a little bit harder, but better safe than sorry is usually your safest bet.
Certainly could be. Right now, certainly looks like it. Dinosaur so far on the support Naja. Decent game. Perhaps not the best game that we've seen, but certainly doing what he needs to and bringing what he needs to. I feel the same way for about everybody on Rival, despite the fact that they kind of lost a couple.
It's been a little bit of a lull, I think, for Rival in comparison to Game 1. The action has definitely been a lot more spread out and a lot more concise to single areas, but I definitely think that both of these teams have had some really solid responses to the others' moments of aggression, and the main thing that I'm noticing, though, is Rapio's efficiency in farming in comparison to Genesis. Genesis has been a part of 4 out of 5 kills. 3 of them he owns, and yet he's still 2 levels behind this Mercury, and that's just something that tells me Genesis probably isn't spending enough time soaking up some lane experience. I think he's relying a little bit too heavily on the jungle camps, and because of that alone, I think he's falling behind Rapio.
I talk a lot about setting the pace of the game and Thor being a character that can either be a follower or a leader, but one of the problems that you have by being a follower, meaning every time we see Naja go for this ult, Thor is waiting and has the ultimate in response. That seems good, and in fact, it's helping his team out a lot. But by always being there and always being a part of these fights, he's losing out on a lot of the farm that his opposition's getting because he's just so fight-minded, and he's 3-0-1 and down, and that's just because, as you said, not enough sharing of the waves, but even just jungle camps alone, focusing too much on the gank than the game.
Good intentions, but not necessarily the proper execution.
Yeah, I mean, I say a lot of the time as Dinosaur gets in trouble, you know, you can be a great jungler and have a great game and have a bad game, and I think this is you know, kind of an example of that.
Genesis just got chunked, by the way, from Rapio, but will be successful in pulling those Mercury beats. Predators, though, might have bitten off a little bit more than he could chew. Tears got the CC immunity, but the portal just went away. Now he's got to have to ult over the wall, but Genesis being just off the mark with that Thor hammer, so Predators will live to see another day, but it could cost Team Rival this Pyromancer in the process.
Yeah, Dinosaur already died to that pick earlier before, and just surrounded by 5 players, nothing really he could do about it. And because of that, the Pyro will be the target. Here comes Merc ult. A little bit too late, so no trigger being pulled there. Big damage to the Giannis.
Rapio's patient because we're 15 minutes deep, and he still has yet to finish a Rage or a Deathbringer in that third item slot. A little bit risky as well, playing the Mercury against this Geb and prioritizing crit so early on. Geb passive being one of the better gods for dealing with opponents such as Neja and the Mercury, but his target selection has seemed really on point so far. It definitely tells me that Rapio has been trying to put a little bit more priority over to this dual lane, kind of under the mentality, I think, that if Davey is out in front, then there's going to be nobody to slow down Team Rival's objective push.
Well, right now, this is also a really good spot for Team Rival to look to be aggressive. Thor throwing a... Tier 2 Transcendence. Listen, I am one of the Transcendence is one of my favorite items in the game. I think it brings a lot, and Transcendence third item is really, really attractive, but not when you're down 2 levels. This is no man's land. When you have Charge Morningstar, I think it is, Tier 2 Transcendence to Tier 3 Transcendence is what? Like, it's a ton of gold.
1,400.
1,400, and you're just stuck there. Team Rival's jungler is levels above you, finishing critical strike, and you're just in this no man's land where you're not really built, you're not stacking, you're not really buying, you're not really doing anything. This puts you behind. I know he just finished it now. This is now a task. He's got homework to stack this. I think this is almost objectively the wrong call.
I don't even think it's necessarily he needs stacks so much as it is he needs kills.
Yeah.
Because you've got to get some kind of profit return for this steep investment, and I think when Genesis started prioritizing the Transcendence, it was at a point where the lead hadn't happened as largely yet. Nice double tap damage though onto Dinosaur, gonna effectively push him out of this Gold Fury pit.
And Thor's gonna go up, look for the ultimate, land behind a Dinosaur, unfortunately, who finds the sash. There's Dobson cutting everything down the middle line. Shoving Genesis up top, no hammer, son. And here comes, oh, Davey can't take the portal! Davey can't take the portal! Oh, Dobson just trolled his own teammate. And Davey winds up sitting down and is definitely yelling at Dobson right there. Predators on the run. There's Thor on the backside. Meanwhile, Rapio south side dealing with Visify. Here comes help from the support. That's all well and good. Fearless into the flames. And Predators dies before he takes off. European powerhouses gold one more time. This
is just so separated for Rival. They're scattering all over the place, and no one seems to really be attending towards their carries. European powerhouses are going to be able to collect the Oni Fury, no problem whatsoever. Really nice zoning, though, from Visify. Absolutely loved what he chose to do there, pressuring into Rapio, knowing full well that the rest of EP could then just focus on Predators who went way too deep into the backline and got punished for it.
European powerhouses now with a decent old lead, about 2K. What are they pinging there?
Possible wards, I think, in case Rapio wanted to look for a return kill, because oftentimes when hunters know that the Gold Fury isn't available on the map, they might get a little bit more carefree in the duo lane, and they might be more willing to push up to that halfway mark. We could definitely see, I think, some possibilities of Rapio looking for that sonic boom into the duo lane. I just think that European powerhouses, if you told me that this is their Game 2 performance after looking at Game 1, I mean, they have made some very quick adjustments in a short period of time.
I've really liked a lot of the choices that we've seen out of the mid lane. We talk about how Genesis has been down versus Rapio, but Dobson, they're 2.5 levels down from Dave Jr. The Agni player has had a great contest so far. 2-1-4 here in game number 2.
This just feels like the range that EP needed in game 1 and now being fulfilled through this Agni. Dave Jr. has had some excellent relic force outs, particularly onto Davey. We saw EP prioritize Davey as their initial target focus, and they've got the rewind so early on that Davey was then just forced to try and peel for himself because of how scattered the rest of EP went.
European powerhouses here now trying to defend their Fire Giant attempt. Kronos, on the other hand, going to split push and look for a 2-2. There's with the flip over the wall, won't find it. Still trouble for Sakul as he's getting surrounded, but he turns it around, and Rapio's going to be the one sitting down. Dobson sits down as well. 2 players on Team Rival. This looks like time for the Chronos to rotate, but he's going to be way too far away. Predators landed on and slammed it on number 11 for EP. Dinosaur by himself. The ring bounce won't claim a kill. Looking for the sash. The shield is better. And the hits, well, that's AoE. Dinosaur goes down. It's a dozen. Make that a baker's dozen as Davey gets caught on the way, crossing the street. And European powerhouses look for the fire giant.
It's get, baby. That fight is all Tiger in my mind, Tom, because the peel could not have been better performed. Held the shell until the perfect moment, then uses the shield for the purification cleanse. After Sakiel ends up having to get forced out of his Aegis, but it was just the timing from Rival. Oh man, Tiger though, that's a bit of a damper, I think, off of what was a really nice series of plays. Finding Pyromancer after just getting that fire giant is definitely going to slow down the push potential that could have taken place after securing that fire. It's still a nice look, though, for the team just because of how clean that fight felt for EP.
For sure.
And how unclean it was for Rival's perspective. I definitely just think that Rapio and Dobson stacked up all their damage at the same exact time instead of toggling it a little bit better. And as a result, one Aegis is good enough to buy Sakiel all that immune damage.
Just like that. What a turnaround here. European powerhouses lose game number 1. Are poised to look towards game number 2. 5,000 gold is their lead so far, which is definitely a nice take-home. Although after Team Rival pick up that tier 1 on the right-hand side, it's cut down. It's only 41, 4,200 wave to wave. Rival continuing to be aggressive. That's certainly interesting.
Dinosaur, though, has a little bit of a power play moment here against Dave Jr. Will get the Aegis, but loses his own mid laner in the process.
There's going to be the turnaround, though. European powerhouses met up by Predators. There's the Fearless into the power cleave. Gamble will isolate 2 different members. Blockade turns the lights off, and now here comes Chronos. Big stun. The dash is good enough to immune the actual stun part of it.
Barely getting into that CC immunity portion of the Rising Jaguar, might I add. That almost looked like a turnaround moment here, but this is still a win for Rival. They trade out Dobson, but what have European powerhouses gotten since they secured the Fire Giant? A kill onto a Giannis? Congrats, you've already done that 4 times over. What you need is structures, and these awkward... I can't even really say that Dave Jr. was grouped up with anybody. He kind of just felt like he was too far ahead by his own accord, and Rival being such an experienced team, we're just looking for somebody to be out of position. That's why we see Rapio and Predator split pushing into the solo lane, despite the fact that European Powers just took Fire Giant, because they're spreading the map. They're shifting the attention from EP, and that's leaving guys like Dave Jr. susceptible to random ganks at a Dinosaur.
It's a big deal. Said European powerhouses take care of the Primal Fury one more time. But Team Rival just continue to go after the towers. This allows them to stay relevant and stay in deal. And you know, we talk about how your objective shifts throughout the game. I think the changing of the Gold Furies can definitely shift your objective. The teammate, your opponent's lead can shift the objective. EP got the Fire Giant, and the objective for Rival was to stop them, and that's what they did.
Some nasty poke onto Davey, but Tiger doesn't have that Geb shield for a little bit longer. Dinosaur wants the attack, but it's going to be Sonic Boom instead, and Rapio just toasts this Geb in an instant.
Thor's up will land on Davey. Chronos ult can't come through. Genesis picks up kill number 7. Kill number 8. The double kill for Thor. As he comes right on through. Deathless, by the way. Stun onto the Naja support. And the sash will leave him a momentary lapse, as Genesis picks up the 3rd kill in the team fight, the 9th kill in the contest, and push towards the left side, Phoenix.
Visify starting to feel like a one-man show, but Predators is about to have a response of his own. Tower Phoenix, though, onto Sakiel, and a nice unstable Vortex going to make sure to bring him down. Left side Phoenix will end up falling in the process. Fearless going to get the bees out of Dave Jr., but it's not all springtime and daisies for Predators here, as he'll end up pushing back into his own grave. And that was just, I don't know if it was a positive for Rival or of a slip-up for European powerhouses.
It's tough. And I'm sitting here trying to parse that while you ask me the question. I mean, I think that Rival kind of bit off European powerhouses came in real strong, and Rival weren't ready to respond. And then Dobson makes the flank from around the right side as the Giannis and land stuff. I think it was just well played by Team Rival to really stop that onslaught. They did lose to Phoenix, but that's all they lose, and they get some extra kills on the way. I think Rival responded well, but not perfectly.
I want to believe it's in favor for EP here, but the concern that I have right now is that the longer this game draws on, the more time it's giving for Dobson, for Dinosaur, even Davey to get a little bit more of their itemization in order. And eventually, I think Visify might encounter the problem where he's unable to solely control 2 different members from Rival at a time. I think eventually we'll reach a point where Dobson and Davey can just 2-shot this Achilles.
Yeah, I believe so as well. Dobson has been a strong player here on his team. Number 3 overall, or excuse me, number 3 for his team in player damage. European powerhouse is now looking for the team fight in the right side lane. Thor goes up, and the Shibalagi ultimate's popped as well. Thor landing on Davey. Aegis is strong. There's the rewind, and Kronos is outside of the enemy team fight. European powerhouse is now in trouble as Rapio cuts right down the middle, wraps up the solo, and sends him back to base the hard way. Predator still relatively low, but the rest of the team on European powerhouses even lower. Dinosaur gets 1. Davey gets another. 3 players in EP jerseys will sit down. There's the big fearless Visify in trouble as well.
Genesis looking to try and support wherever he can, but hasn't found an opportunity yet. Look for that Thor wall. Kind of just watching as his Achilles is torn apart, and the Thor wall is just way too late here from Genesis. Now he's stuck around for moments too long, and Predators can zone him away while the rest of Team Rival looks for this enhanced Fire Giant.
Without a doubt. The Fire Giant's going to go to them pretty much safe and sound. Predators won't catch the backing Thor, and the EFG will come. HOME.
And Genesis, for having played so well this match, despite our skepticism towards how well this third item Transcendence worked out, I think he just baited his entire team into catastrophe. That's
exactly what happened. I mean, he kind of wound up, as I said, he's killing it in the player damage. He's 10-0-4, but I think, you know, it's a tie game, and I don't want to paint this the wrong way, but I think it's a good example of a game that could have gone better despite having the world's nicest looking slash line. He wasn't where his team needed to be, and I think that kind of caused him problems in the mid game.
I think everybody's been there, though, Tom, with our own games accordingly. I mean, you can have the 20-0 specials, but it doesn't matter if you make that one bad play that can cost a team a game. And I think that this is the instance here for EP, but they're looking for a standout moment.
That's the good play, though. You want to see that play as he takes down the Giannis. Rapio in trouble, uses the ult to get to safety. So this is a tie game, and European powerhouses, if anything, have control because of that left Phoenix, and it's because of plays like that.
That was Dobson thinking that this map is now Rivals because they got enhanced Fire Giant. You're never safe if there's a Thor on the map, and I do think that was a very important pick for Genesis to find as well, because the through space and time is what carried Rival through that last team fight that led up to this enhanced Fire Giant to begin with. It's the mobility and the way that Rival were able to spread the last couple of engagements so that EP weren't all on top of each other like they have been in the past.
Just got to stay unclumped. Let me take you. Team Rival on the defense with Fire Giant, by the way. European powerhouses trying to sift in here. The left side Phoenix has already been taken, so it'll be easier to take this second time. Down it goes. Now Rival trying to play D, and Davey able to get out of there with a nice use of the Kronos rewind. Ring toss slows everyone down. Predators up top. There's the jump in and the ultimate from the mid lane mage. Predators in trouble. Finds a way out.
And quick little portal to save his life. But there's no portals for Visify to get him out of here. I think he's as good as toast, Tom. As Rapio and Davey continue to track him down. Meanwhile, Dobson, Dinosaur trying not to let anybody from EP back, but the damage has already been dealt. EP already got that left side Phoenix. They're free to keep running as long as they want, so long as Dave Jr. remembers not to look back.
Just don't turn around, Davey. You will be safe and sound. Nice job for him so far.
You think there could only be one?
One what?
Dave or Davey?
Oh no, you got Davey and
This
Dave
is Dave Jr. though, so by default, does that automatically make Davey superior?
I mean, it makes
Because he's his senior?
I mean, it depends. If I see, I mean, Davey has 2, 3, and 6. Dave Jr. 3, 3, and 11. I don't know. We'll see if Davey can sun Dave Jr. right here in this match. Keeping an eye on it. Predators back line to the front. Dave Jr. uses the dash. Thor up top one more time. Lands on the back line. Predators goes down. Dave Jr. the good side. A little bit too aggressive from Team Rival, although we take one up, and Rival gets one on the bottom, and then they get another one to double down. 2 players dead on the side of EP. Sakil answers back.
Almost 3 if Dobson isn't careful here. Visify looking for him inside of that mid-Phoenix area, but purification beads are good from Dobson and will save his life for now. All of Rival now looking for the retreat. And this game mildly shifted into their favor. I'm not completely sold on Rival being out of danger just yet.
Yeah.
But they've definitely alleviated a lot of pressure from that left-hand side by taking EP's Phoenix, because now this next enhanced Fire Giant brawl could have a lot steeper repercussions if EP aren't careful.
Yeah, I think this next one is maybe not the game. If it's not a clean deicide, it's not the game. But if it is a clean deicide, there's only one tower up on the other side, so it's not that big of a deal. However, if we do see 2 players here, 2 players there, I think it's absolutely a situation that either team can come back from.
That felt like a trap, though, from Rival. With the way that they were poised around that left side Phoenix, it's like they purposely put Davey in between Dinosaur and Dobson, because they wanted that Thorald to connect to the Chrono so they could immediately sash him into the Windfire wheels. I just am not certain that Genesis were prepared for that amount of burst damage that followed up.
Certainly think about it, because Dobson's not going to think about Dave Jr. anymore. Oh, that was beautiful. The slight setup, and then just the, you know what, I trust it. And just the shot from the hip.
It doesn't matter if you trust it or not. You might as well go for it. 40 seconds. Goodbye, Fire Giant, if you're EP.
Fire Giant finally started here by Team Rival. Predators trying to zone, picking up 2 players in the field. Fire Giant at 50. European powerhouses trying to get in here, distracted by Predators, who's in the yellow already, but the Fire Giant likely to go down before anyone can find it. That exactly will happen.
The only one who could have feasibly looked for a Fire Giant steal attempt there would have been Genesis, but he just wasn't in position in time. Had already been back to base, and I think wanted to push out that left-hand side, since he's the only one that also has a reasonable escape from members like Rapio off the Sonic Boom, or like Dobson with Through Space and Time. And speaking of Dobson, that Through Space and Time is already ready to go again.
I mean, he's got the build for it, right? Cooldown boots, the Spear of Desolation, and the gem. You're up to 30% CDR, just like that.
Tower
Soul
damage.
Gem. Gem of Isolation. Soul Gem.
Yes.
Soul Gem.
3 rings,
Gem
by the way.
of Souls.
No, I like the Soul Gem.
The
Gem of Souls sounds like some kind of MMO item.
Gem of Souls, legendary, drops from Special Agent Kill Harmonicon. Team Rival in the middle lane.
I'm letting you sit in that for a second.
Yeah,
just
that's
realizing
fair.
you said it.
That's fair.
I feel like I don't need to add commentary there.
I don't
to
think
what's
you do.
already been done.
Yeah, you kind of. You know when you're like, yeah, homie, just go talk to her. Just go talk to her, and then your friend's like, hey, sorry to bother you, and you already know it's gonna go off poorly, and you just let him roast in it. You're like, yeah, dude.
Even
Thanks,
worse
Taco.
still, though.
Best wingman right here, Taco.
No. My favorite is your homeboy cute, though. That's my personal favorite.
It depends. It depends. Oh no.
When you're setting your boy up for disaster.
Oh no, I don't want to experience that one. That's no good.
A little bit of disaster, though, if you're EP.
Yeah,
In
just
all
a little
honesty.
bit. A little bit. They kind of had the game. Feels like it's slipping through their fingers. But that said, they're not completely out of it. All 3 of their birds are up. And if I want to be on the defensive, this is kind of where I want to be on the defensive. The character selection for defense, not so bad either. Dave Jr., some range stuns. Sakil, able to shut the lights off. One of the better abilities here at the competitive level. Even Genesis, a wall. It's a literal wall you can't walk through. I think that's a nice look when you're trying to defend your Phoenix.
Rival have these last few minions left to their advantage here on this next left Phoenix siege attempt, but they've got to be careful with all of EP grouped up, healthy, relics ready to go. This is looking like a possible turn and burn scenario.
Predators here, over the wall he goes, forces out the dash from Agni. Now gonna look on the right side, not gonna find it, but Team Rival still objective-minded on the burn. 10% so far. No ultimates used except for Predators, but that's the displacement, so no big deal.
But this is even better still for Dave because he didn't use his purification beads on purpose. Did take a huge chunk of his health though from Dobson, and now Rapio trying to line up the shot, but a great Thor wall to cut him off.
Meanwhile, there's going to be Naja go to the sky, landing, and Genesis in some trouble. Aegis will get him out of it. Fearless will push a player up, and Sakil will get hit by the ultimate from Giannis. On the left side, Firebird will fall down. Team Rival backing off, looking again at the middle lane here. 35 in.
Fair amount of bolts used on both sides. Tigers almost got that Cataclysm back up and running, but a quick Sonic Boom to the back line. Aiga's going to come out from Sakil, still alive for the moment.
Meanwhile, there's going to be a wrap, and Dinosaur falls down, so does Davey. 2 players on European powerhouses, 3 players on European powerhouses get the kills. I guess just 2, as Vizify was able to find the double kill, but still, the sentiment remains. T-Rival are 2 players strong. 1 down the right and 1 down the middle left. European powerhouses probably will look to get control of the Fire Giant pit as it respawns in about a minute.
Rapio is too fast. For right now, though, Tiger looking to roll out and cut him off. Rapio about to be left with no options here on this Mercury. Beads are going to be used, and they will work out because of 3-man Fearless out of Predators just in case. 2-man, actually. Sorry, Geb's a little thick.
And a beautiful play there from Predators. To keep all 5 members is a different story, however. His teammates will be showing up in 10 seconds. European powerhouses know their beat and will walk away with just the car wash.
This isn't good, though. Predators is going to keep giving chase just like he should because EP are not the healthiest team alive, and Dobson spawning in 1 second. That through space and time is going to come ripping through this backline, Tom.
But Predators are going to get taken out before it all. Dobson, 2 from a distance. Dave Jr. and Sakil sit down with 1 shot. Make that trips as the hat trick goes to Giannis. Give him 4, baby. Give him 4. Get the stop and get the pop. It's Dinosaur. Oh my goodness. The minions have been doing it the whole damn time.
That's game.
That's definitely game.
You know when you can just feel a Giannis ult that's about to destroy everybody?
Yes.
Because normally I'm on the other side of that. I'm not the team with the Giannis. I'm the one getting Giannis ulted. That looked like a perfect line-up shot for Dobson. All off of the back of Predators, refusing to let this team back. He was not going to let European powerhouses slide out from that right side Phoenix Siege for free.
That's how you bait it. I mean, Predators was sitting there surrounded. It looks like he was just playing aggressive, like he always does, by the way. And they're like, well, look, Predators, you're walking into 5 people. How dumb are you? That's what teams always say. And they get punished for it. Punished so hard that they lose the set. Predators and the boys put up a great game. Let's take a closer look with John Finch.
Anatoly as well. He's pretty darn good at this analyst thing, so happy to have him here with me. But I mean, you might not be needed so much this time, Toly.
No.
Sometimes Dobson just hits a 2-man through space and time, triple kills, and ends the game.
Rival are who we thought they were at the end of the day. You can never count them out, despite going like 38 minutes into game number 2 compared to a very early game number 1 victory, which was around that 21-minute mark. They were relying on Dobson's Giannis yet again. Game number 1 going 6-1-7. Game number 2, a fantastic triple kill. Should have been a quadra kill.
Should have been.
On the Gab at the end. And this is where you have to respect respawn timers if you're on European powerhouses or if you're on any competitive team. If you're not, you're going to get hit with the Giannis.
And really, it was the Predators who kind of set that up because he's the one that jumped over the wall with the ultimate, made sure that European powerhouses couldn't complete their back because they did get exactly what they wanted. They had a big fight on their own base. They came down, got that solo side Phoenix, and they were trying to leave, but Predators just said no, and then Dobson brought the damage.
No, that's kind of what Predators does. Doesn't matter what god he's playing on. He's going to be an absolute nuisance, and this is something that Rival have been leaning on, is the strength of Predators, whether he gets the advantage in the laning phase or whether he's that late game kind of obnoxious soul lane warrior that's just going to obtrude everybody.
And really, even though Dobson kind of stole the show there at the end, I thought this game had Rapio's name all over it, at least for what I saw. In particular, there was this play around the tier 2 tower at 26 minutes in. This is in solo side, where Rapio comes in from like stage left and just decimates everyone with his ultimate. And that's what really sets up that fight to turn around. Because in all honesty, Tiger had a great Cataclysm right before it, but it doesn't matter when your whole team's been stunned.
Rapio has so much confidence that he picks Mercury into a gap already, right? Like, he's just not afraid of anything. Like, he goes in to 4 members. He's able to get out as well because Dobson has the portals for him, and he had a fantastic showing. But not to be outdone was Genesis as well. At that point,
good point.
He was like 10-0-4 at
Something
26
like
minutes in. He was making so many plays, but that one little mistake, one little misstep, and then all of a sudden Rival are punishing you.
Yeah, and really, it felt like, despite Rapio's best efforts, that European powerhouses still had this one because they defended their base very well. They found a 3-man wipe. Visify showed up big for them in that fight, too, on this tier. I think Rapio couldn't quite get all the way to suck kill at the end of that fight and kill the Xbalanque. So because of that, he made it back out alive, and the fight turns on its head. But even with that, Rivals somehow stick together, find a way to close that game out, man. This is such a good team.
A lot of it comes down to like just the tower sieging potential as well. Davey playing the Chronos, 11.5 structure damage, and even
not bad.
Not too bad at all. And I like the composition from European powerhouses. The problem was that one tier 2 tower fight, they got a little bit too far ahead of themselves.
Yes.
Their team fighting was so great. The Agni, the Xbalanque, you got Gab and Thor, like there's so much CC on their side. But when you have a god like Mercury that can go through that CC with Sonic Boom, you don't care. You're feeling pretty good if you're Rapio, going 6-3-7 that game.
And I'm worried this message won't stick through, as we can go ahead and pull up these standings here for you for Xbox EU. But I'm worried this message won't get through totally, but I'd like this team to stick together. They haven't done it yet, but getting this close to Team Rival, the team who's 5-0 above everyone, that's impressive for me, especially considering how little prep this squad must have had together. I hope they can keep working because I saw some good stuff from them. It's probably not going to be able to catch Rival at this point when they're this far down, but they can get right in the thick of things with Dabos and Ricardo.
So when you saw the first game, you could kind of tell there was a disparity between these two teams. But when you saw game number 2, that kind of went out the window, which is a more difficult challenge to do when you lose a game that convincingly in game number 1, to be able to bounce back mentally. I have high hopes for European powerhouses, maybe not necessarily here this early into the split, but as the weeks progress, as the splits progress, I think that this team, as long as they stick together and they learn from each other, that they can go the distance.
I think that they have a good chance to do it. Maybe Hercules out a little bit and go the distance. We'll certainly see. We got plenty more action for you. That was just EU, the first half of the day. We still got North American console action coming for you, so don't go anywhere. Stick right here. We will be right back.